I still remember the exact moment the call came in. The bank manager's voice was polite, calm. But the words he said made my hands go cold. "Sir, your wife is here with a gentleman who looks exactly like you." For a few seconds, I couldn't even respond, because at that exact moment, my wife was supposed to be lying in a hospital bed. And suddenly, the quiet life I thought I understood began to feel like a carefully constructed lie. My name is Daniel, and until that day, I believed my life was simple, not perfect, but stable. I worked as an accountant for a small logistics company. It wasn't glamorous work, but it paid the bills. My days were predictable: numbers, spreadsheets, coffee breaks that lasted a little too long. I liked that rhythm. Predictability gave me a sense of control. Home was where that control softened. My wife, Laura, had always been the emotional center of my world. We met 12 years ago in a bookstore cafe. I remember she was reading a mystery novel and laughing quietly at something on the page. That laugh caught my attention before anything else did. We talked for almost 2 hours that day. Laura had this warmth about her, an easy kindness that made people feel comfortable. She remembered small details about people: birthdays, favorite foods, even stories you told her years earlier. When we got married, I truly believed I had found the one person in the world who would always be on my side. Life wasn't always easy for us, but we handled it together. At least, that's what I thought. 2 months before the bank call, Laura started feeling sick. At first, it seemed minor: fatigue, headaches, the kind of things people blame on stress. But the symptoms kept getting worse. She started fainting occasionally. One night, she collapsed in the kitchen while making tea. That night scared me more than anything had in years. We rushed to the hospital. After hours of tests, the doctors said they wanted to keep her under observation. Something about irregular neurological signals. They needed more time to understand what was happening. Laura tried to reassure me. "I'm okay," she said softly from the hospital bed, squeezing my hand. "It's probably nothing serious." But hospitals have a way of making even simple words feel fragile. Over the next few weeks, she stayed there more often than at home. The doctor said monitoring was important. They wanted to run additional tests, observe patterns, and keep her in a controlled environment. I visited every day, sometimes twice. Our conversations became quieter. Hospitals have a way of draining energy from everyone inside them. But we still had our small moments. We watched old shows on her tablet. I brought her favorite lemon muffins from the bakery near our apartment. She joked about how terrible hospital coffee tasted. Looking back now, everything felt normal. Too normal. Around that same time, my best friend Mark started helping out more. Mark and I had known each other since college. We weren't just friends. We were the kind of people who had seen each other through every phase of adulthood. First jobs, failed relationships, late-night conversations about what we thought life would look like someday. He was the one who stood beside me at my wedding. Mark had always been dependable, the type of person who shows up without being asked. When Laura got sick, he stepped in immediately. "If you need anything, I'm around," he told me. And he meant it. He drove me to the hospital a few times when my car was in the shop. He dropped off groceries when I was too exhausted to think about cooking. Once, he even spent a whole afternoon fixing a broken pipe under our kitchen sink. I remember telling Laura how lucky I felt to have him. "Not everyone has a friend like that," I said. She smiled quietly but didn't say much. At the time, I thought she was just tired. There were small moments, though, little things that felt strange if you looked too closely. Once, when I arrived at the hospital earlier than usual, Laura seemed startled to see me. Not unhappy, just surprised. "Oh, you're early today," she said. Another time, Mark mentioned he had stopped by the hospital to drop off flowers when I was working late. But Laura didn't mention that visit at all. I figured she simply forgot. Hospitals blur time. Days blend together. Small details disappear. That's what I told myself. A few weeks passed like that. Work during the day, hospital visits in the evening, phone calls with doctors, quiet drives home in the dark. Life narrowed down to routine. And then on a quiet Wednesday afternoon, my phone rang. The number belonged to our bank. At first, I assumed it was a routine call about paperwork. Laura and I had recently been discussing adjustments to our savings account. Just small financial planning things, I answered casually. "Hello, Daniel speaking." The voice on the other end belonged to Mr. Carter, the branch manager. We had met once before when opening a joint investment account. "Good afternoon, Mr. Daniel," he said politely. I hope I'm not interrupting anything. Not at all, I replied. There was a short pause. Then he spoke again, slower this time. I just wanted to confirm something with you. Your wife is currently here at the branch regarding your shared account. My first reaction was confusion. That's not possible, I said automatically. She's in the hospital. Another pause. When he spoke again, his tone had changed slightly. Well, she's definitely here, sir. I felt a strange chill run through my chest. And she's accompanied by a gentleman, he continued carefully. What gentleman? I asked. There was a hesitation before he answered. A man who looks remarkably similar to you. My heart started beating faster. What do you mean similar? I asked quietly. Mr. Carter cleared his throat. Sir, if I didn't know better, I would say he could be your twin. For a moment, the world around me seemed to go silent. My wife was in the hospital. She been there for weeks. And yet, the bank manager was certain she was standing inside the branch right now, with a man who looked exactly like me. I forced my voice to stay steady. Can you describe her? I asked. He did. Every detail matched. Her hair, her voice, even the blue scarf she wore almost every day. There was no doubt. It was Laura. But that meant only one thing. If my wife was standing inside the bank right now, then who had I been visiting in the hospital every evening for the past 3 weeks? And as that thought finally settled into my mind, Mr. Carter said something that made my stomach drop. Sir, they're asking to withdraw a very large amount from your joint account. He paused again before finishing the sentence. And the gentleman just signed your name. The moment Mr. Carter said those words, the air seemed to disappear from my lungs. And the gentleman just signed your name. For a few seconds, I couldn't speak. My mind kept repeating the same thought over and over. Laura is in the hospital. Laura is in the hospital. But Mr. Carter sounded absolutely certain. Sir, he said gently, are you still there? Yes, I whispered. My voice sounded distant, like it belonged to someone else. Do not approve anything. Of course, he replied immediately. My heart was pounding now. Please stall them, I added. Tell them there's a verification delay. I'm on my way. Understood. The call ended and I sat frozen at my desk. My hands were shaking because something impossible was happening. Either the woman in the hospital wasn't my wife, or the woman in the bank wasn't, and the man signing my name looked exactly like me. I left work without saying goodbye to anyone. The drive to the bank usually took 15 minutes. That day it felt like an hour. My thoughts kept circling the same memories. Laura fainting in the kitchen. The hospital bed, the quiet conversations, the lemon muffins, the small smiles. Had any of it been real? Or had I simply been seeing what I wanted to see? A darker thought followed close behind. Mark, I pushed the idea away immediately. Mark had been my closest friend for over a decade. He had helped me through everything. He had supported me while Laura was sick. He had been the one reminding me to eat when I forgot. No, there was no way he was involved in something like this. Still, a strange memory surfaced. The day Mark said he had stopped by the hospital. Laura never mentioned it. At the time, I thought she had simply forgotten. Now I wasn't so sure. I pulled into the bank parking lot and sat there for a moment. Staring at the building, my chest felt tight. Inside that building was someone pretending to be me, and my wife was standing beside him, or someone who looked exactly like her. I walked inside. The branch was quiet. Only a few customers were waiting near the service desks. Mr. Carter spotted me immediately and walked over. His expression carried a mixture of relief and concern. Mr. Daniel, he said quietly. Mr. Daniel, he said quietly. They're still here? I asked. Yes, in my office. Did they notice anything? No. I told them we needed additional identity. Confirmation because of the withdrawal amount. I nodded slowly. Good. He hesitated. Then he said something that made my stomach twist. They seem very comfortable together. Comfortable. That word stayed with me. Mr. Carter gestured toward a hallway. This way. Every step felt heavier than the last. When we reached the office door, he paused. They're inside. I nodded. Then I opened the door. Laura was sitting in the chair across from the desk. Her blue scarf rested on her shoulders exactly the way Mr. Carter described. And beside her sat a man with his back to me. For a moment, neither of them noticed I had entered. They were quietly talking. Laura laughed softly. It was the same laugh I had fallen in love with 12 years ago. But hearing it now felt completely different. Cold. Careful. Almost rehearsed. Then the man turned his head, and my entire body went still, because Mr. Carter hadn't been exaggerating. The man looked like me. Same height, same dark hair, even the same style of glasses. For a brief, terrifying second, it felt like I was looking into a mirror. Laura noticed me next. Her smile vanished instantly. "Daniel?" The man stood up slowly. Up close, the resemblance was even stranger, but it wasn't perfect. His jawline was slightly sharper, his posture more rigid, a copy that was almost exact, but not quite. He looked at me calmly. Then he spoke, and what he said made the room feel even smaller. "I was wondering when you'd arrive." My chest tightened. Laura looked between us, her expression tense. "Daniel, this isn't—" But she stopped herself. The man beside her placed a gentle hand on the desk. Not nervous, not surprised, just calm, too calm. I stared at Laura. "You're supposed to be in the hospital," I said quietly. Her eyes flickered. For the first time since I walked in, she looked guilty. Not shocked, not confused. Guilty. "I can explain," she said softly. But the words didn't sound convincing. The man beside her studied me carefully. Then he reached into his jacket and pulled out a folder. He slid it across the desk toward me. "You deserve the truth," he said. My hands felt numb as I opened it. Inside were documents, old documents, birth records, medical forms, and one paper at the very top that made my heart stop. 2 names, 2 birth times, 2 baby photos. Identical! I looked up slowly. The man met my eyes, and in a quiet, steady voice, he said the one thing I never expected to hear. "My name is Adrian." He paused, then finished the sentence. "And I'm your brother."